All right. Hey, Hacksters. Good morning. I am so stoked about today's show. We have Mario, the maker magician. He's a maker. He's a magician. Mario, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. I feel just so lucky. This is gonna be this is great.
I'm so excited. I've watched a couple of your videos, and obviously you're doing a lot of stuff online nowadays, so that just means that you have more to share. And just the energy that you bring and the kids' reactions are just amazing. And yeah, can you tell us a little bit about what exactly you're sort of, what do you get up to?
Yeah. So, I go by Mario the Maker Magician. My wife and I quit our day jobs almost 14 years ago, to pursue magic as a career. And, it's been a big mountain climbing over the years, figuring out what my story is as a performer. And making is in my blood. I got introduced into making things from Make Magazine from all the way back in
Oh
2005,
yeah.
2006. Yeah, I got my first. And then I hear about the Arduino, it's like coming out of Bologna, Italy. Here's this blue little card thing. And my big dream, why I got hooked on magic was the whole automata, like that whole idea of this wind up mechanism that you can walk away from and it performs. It's
Yeah.
a very powerful thing for me. And that's how I got into magic originally. And when I heard about the Arduino, it was so mind blowing that I can program with words and numbers to make motors move rather than like all these gears and wind up things that are in these
Yeah.
old automatas. Yeah. So
Do you,
basically, the past 14 years, I've worked a lot with private parties, and then we slowly integrated into theaters. And the past 2 years, we've been really lucky to tour theaters across the country. And then COVID hit. And
yeah.
now I'm building robots for social media.
Yeah, so your Automabot has been making the rounds, going absolutely viral. Maybe we can start by playing a couple clips of that because that's like the big thing right now. Like people might have seen this. And I love these. Oh, there's so much I love about this, and it's just so good. And the music.
Yeah. So this was a 5-day build, what
Uh-huh.
you're looking at here, all for 34 seconds,
It's
But
legit, but it's made an impact.
I'm taking core principles of magic. This is a classic magic trick called the Matrix. And I'm taking that, and my goal was to make a performer that can perform the whole trick without a human, And
Mm.
and so the idea was like, I'm taking things that work historically as a magician, and I'm saying, how can I take these classics and adapt them into modern technology,
Yeah,
So with the
absolutely.
jumbo coin, that's a very classic magic thing. That's a very classic magic thing. Like magicians, that's a very cheesy magic thing. Like a small coin turns into the jumbo coin.
Uh-huh.
Same with here. This is same thing. This is just, you know, uh, this is inspired by the zombie ball. Magicians know this. It's a classic of magic. I mean, Steve
Uh-huh.
Martin performed a version of this on Johnny Carson, and
No
I'm just
way.
taking this principle of a silk and a silver ball and adapting my angle on it with Automabot.
Are you seeing yourself
There
as a
it is.
spiritual
So yeah, so this is like that. That was like 6 days. I'm not lying. Like like everything in there is all mechanical. So but it's been great seeing the feedback because when you first work so hard on something like that, you just don't know. And so it's been really fun watching people being inspired.
Yeah. So I actually kind of that's a great comparison, Steve Martin actually, because okay, so like Steve Martin is a comedian, apparently
Yep.
also a magician, also
Yes.
an amazing banjo player, and I feel like you also have this kind of Renaissance person energy around you, where you're like your magic, your electronics, your showmanship. It's incredible.
Yeah. That's a big thing for me going to maker fairs that I felt like I wish I could see more as is the showmanship, the performance angle. Like if you're building a robot, you're building something, what can it do that can make someone laugh? Or what can it do that can bring a little bit of wonder? What can it do that can be a performance, And a lot of the times, with my magic, I have lessons for kids to try to boost their confidence in front of people, And I think that's
Oh,
kind of the goal, is like, how do we overcome our fears? And using robotics, so like I have my magic show where I have robots that basically fall apart on purpose,
yeah, I
during my
love
show.
that.
And then I'm piggybacking on core principles of magic that I know work, you know, and
Yeah.
that's the goal. So it looks chaotic and it looks messy, but really the secret is, you know, I'm following classics, I'm following classics.
Yeah, and that's one thing that really strikes me looking at your work. Like when you were on Sesame Street, for example, talking about like a big part of your act is sort of things sort of falling apart, and also
Yeah.
teaching kids that like it's okay. Like you really bring the humor into it, and also you're
Yeah.
like they're talking about how much practice it takes, and this is really distracting me, but it's so cool. You gotta watch the there we go, cool, Mario with a bunch of kids on Sesame Street.
Yeah.
um yeah, so you've got these themes of like accessibility,
Yes.
doing things with
100%.
ordinary things around the house.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really, like, if you see my show,
Uh-huh.
what's really important to me is that everything looks and feels like you can do it yourself, and so that's the whole idea, is like everything is cardboard. Everything, maybe behind the cardboard is 3D printed elements with magnets and servos
Uh-huh.
and remote controls, but the face is always going to be humble, and there's a reason for that, because the takeaway for me and my big dream is like, am I showing people that I'm clever, or am I showing people, like kids, that they can go home and feel empowered to make things that can give them confidence and that they can be performers too. One of my greatest compliments I ever got on tour was this kid ran up to his parents after the show and said, "Ma, when I get home, I'm going through the trash and I'm building a magic show like Mario."
Yeah. You're so good
I
at
just
that too.
love
Like
that.
kids just
Because
like
isn't that what art is? True art comes from the bottom and then it works its way up, for all of us to see, and that's really important to me.
yeah. And kids don't have this filter of where they're like, "Oh, this thing is so awesome. Oh, but I probably don't have time to do that." They're just like, "No, we're doing it now." And you make that really possible. You have, for example, this Chomperbot kit that I see you're wearing and
Yeah.
like showing over here. Oh,
Yeah, here he is. This is the prototype. So this is a great thing this is perfect timing, because this kid is super forgiving. Like, that's the whole point. It's like when you build it, it's not this thing where it's like, oh my gosh, I got to get exactly 2.5 inches and another 4, like the idea was like, how do we build a robot and perform a magic trick with it? That's the one thing over the years that I've, like you got to be excited with what you do, whatever you're
yeah,
doing, and if you're not excited, then the world's not going to be excited with you, so for me, it's
yeah.
like robots and magic are my blood. I love both of them so much. And I noticed my show changing when I adapted those two organically. And that's what it's been like, and even through the pandemic, it's like, okay, so now we can't go to a theater. We're stuck on a screen. So we learned how to do Zoom, how do we
Yeah,
get
yeah.
this trapped screen where how do I interact with kids with robots on a trapped screen? This is what I do. I have all kinds of weird
Yes!
stuff,
Wand
like
bot.
my
I love it.
delivery magic wand. Here it is. There it is, my delivery magic wand. It doesn't work all the time. Actually, we have a clip. I don't know if I gave you of
You
me
did.
performing that.
I can pull this up. I got it right here.
All right, cool.
And again, I love the kids' reaction here. I love what you just did here, because you're like, so many tech people are like, lecture, 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 and you're like, what is it? What is it that the magicians have? And they're like, the wand! Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Like, what are the most simple objects that I can identify with kids, as a magician? Wand, hat. And how do I keep it interactive? Like, they're on the other side of the screen. They clap, the robot appears. I pretend I don't see it. These are core principles of children's magic. Like,
Huh.
they're telling me to look this way. I look the other way. That's where we get the reactions from. And then from here, when you notice, this is a crawl bot. This is a very common maker project. It's a string, there's many versions if you YouTube it, but I'm just taking that and adapting it into a performance, So here it is, it goes the opposite way that like, and these are just classics, slapstick, stuff. And, so this is a marketed magic effect, this wand that falls apart on one side. What I did was I shrunk it on Tinkercad and made a 3D printed version so it fits the Zoom screen. You see, so now I'm utilizing. You see, like
It's funny you use Tinkercad because that's also a really good, like, accessible introductory 3D CAD program. It's in the browser. You don't have to download anything. Super
Well,
good.
yeah, and I'm kind of trapped in that on purpose, just because like I like the limitations of it, and it's also my world with kids and family, so that I can constantly say I built it on Tinkercad and have that that confidence of telling them that that's why it's important for them to give it a try.
Yeah, and you can share things with them really easily on that too. You can just be like, "Here's the link. Go tinker it yourself."
Yeah, totally. Do you want to see another crazy robot?
Oh, please, no.
So like
No.
I have this crazy. So like a lot of times when I talk to kids, they're shy on the other screen, and a lot of the times when I interact, I have a couple bits where I'll say, whoever smiles the biggest with their teeth up close on the screen. I don't care if you didn't brush them. Let me see. And then we'll spotlight, the kids that are smiling. And then sometimes they're not, they're shy, So I have this robot that like does the reactions for me, So this is like, he's called Mr. Table. He's a robotic motorized table. He's not moving now, but yeah, so he does yes and no answers. He's got the green light, eyebrows go up. So I can ask him questions. He can get mad. There he is. Angry. So how do I use all these principles? Here he is. Sticks his tongue out. I use this, and I'm using. I have buttons on the side, and this is run by an Arduino with a little servo shield, and this is all 3D printed. I use this and using classic bits of ventriloquism, I look at the robot just like an old ventriloquism, looking at the puppet, and the opposite. I do the opposites. So I'll be like, you're going to have a great time. Are you excited to be here? Yes. Look at this. His eyebrows are going up. He's light and green. Are you excited to be with me? Yes. He's so excited. You see that, kids? He's excited. Wait, where do and then the kids are saying no. And then I tell the robot, don't be silly. He's not going to be silly. Don't worry. So I bounce between the 3 buttons based on the kid's reaction. So now I'm taking this robot, and it's becoming something that I can share that I built. I can talk about how it was made with confidence and details if they want to pursue it. Yeah. And then I'm also making them laugh, and connecting with them, So it's, that's the goal,
Yeah, it's interesting to me how that one combines both its robotic nature and the fact that it's kind of automated with your own interactivity, so that like you're able to have these like cool robots like doing their own thing, but also at the same time it's interactive.
Yeah. And that's this robot is like, I had 4 other ones that I made that didn't work even close to as well, so there's always a history to get this far. And so it's been fun having this, and this is me learning this whole Zoom experience. Like, how do I bring the maker aspect onto the Zoom screen when we do our Zoom shows, and these are some of the stuff that's been working. Yeah.
Now we have a comment from Katie that mirrors something I was also thinking, which is that it's the same kind of eyebrow you use. A huge part of your robots obviously is their expressiveness, and as someone who builds companion robots, this is something that I think about all the time.
Yeah.
And just like the fact that you're able to use a single servo. How can you explain us how exactly that works? You've got a single servo and like a handgun.
Yeah. So I'll show you. Let me see if I can get Mr. Tomabot. I've never shown a Tomabot off of video. This is my first time. Let me see if I can get him real quick. I'm a little nervous, actually. Let me see. I'm going to grab him. Okay, so this is the first. He's in between. I'm building a brand new magic trick with Tomabot this week. It'll be out. So he's kind of like, but yeah. So basic. Yeah, here he is. This is him. He's just cardboard, and he's got a microcontroller.
Is that an Uno in there, or
it's a Mega? It's a Mega in there.
Oh, that was okay. We're gonna come back to that. Microcontrollers, yeah.
But here's the eyebrow. So the eyebrow is just a straw, and I put a staple on the one side, and then the crinkly part of the straw is what makes it look surprised. And then what makes it look, angry. And there's a little slit in the straw that gives it, so the straw can slide. So it can slide back and forth. And Bill Cook is an amazing magician out of Chicago, by the way. And cool. He incorporates making too. He's got a great Zoom show. Bill, it's really cool to see you on here. So yeah, so this is how I get that. And I won't go too much into details, but I love the limitations of robotics because it gives me a reason to innovate, so I'm very, with each magic trick I've been building with Automabot, I've been very strict on not adding too many extra things. Like, what can I create with its limitations? And I think that's been a fun challenge for me too, you know. But here he
Hmm.
is. Yeah. He's
Oh,
got
that's
some
so cool.
standard servos, some micro servos,
Uh-huh.
and a few 3D printed elements that help give
Ah.
him the movement and stuff that he needs, you know, for each routine. Yeah.
And I love the accessible, like, cardboard part of him. It really is inviting to kids. There's a couple different directions I'd love to take this, and, I'll let you pick. So first off, your, penguin lecture featured this suitcase that uses 14
Yeah.
servos, and I'd love to talk about, like, how, because you also have this thing where things automatically fall off of it, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
But also, and I'm just curious about the microcontrollers and stuff. I don't expect
Yeah,
you to
of
reveal
course.
all your secrets, but also you have this Chomperbot kit.
Yes.
Which one do you want to talk about first?
No, let's talk about the servos, the 14
Okay,
servos.
cool. Yeah.
So basically, it's a funny story because when I did a lot of birthday parties, a lot of school shows, and I didn't incorporate any robotics at all. Like, it was a separate part of my life. I was building drawing machines and all this stuff, abstract stuff. But I got, you know, it was from this criticism that I got from someone that I overheard after a show. Like, some parents are like, "That was Mario the Magician. That's who we saw." Like, as if like I'm just doing the same tricks as everyone else. And
Oh.
out of that frustration, I made a really heavy choice. Like, I was like, you know what? I'm going to utilize every single talent that I have since the beginning of time that I've been born, like, and put it into my show, you know?
Uh-huh.
And from that frustration, one of my things that I love is a magician called the Great Kaplan. And he has a bit where he has a banner that opens up. And the Great Ballantyne's another great magician. He has a bit with a banner. So I basically put 14 servos into my suitcase. I have Mario the Magician that opens up,
Uh-huh.
World's Greatest Magician that opens up, flags that come up, all kinds of stuff. And then everything starts slowly falling apart to music. So I'll take my bow as it says Mario the Magician, and then the sign will fall to the left, you know? And I'm like, oh gosh. And then I run and I fix it. And then as I take my bow again, the right side falls, you know, and I'm like, oh man, you know, and then I fix it. And then the bottom that says World's Greatest Magician completely falls to the ground, you know, and then I'm running, and then snake cans pop out the side. I have this motorized tape measurer with an eyeball that comes out, you know, the top.
Oh,
And
that's what that is.
yeah. So, and it goes up like 7-8 feet.
Dang.
But what's cool was just taking that criticism. I could have went the other way, you know, and I could have been like, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore, you know.
Mm.
And I'm so, looking back on it, I just feel grateful that we should always channel any type of energy, even if it's negative, like into our art, you know. And it was just one of those things that I always look back on, because it's definitely the most complicated part of my show that tends to break the most, you know. There's so many
Ironically.
servos and magnets and all kinds of stuff. But it's a fun thing. It's the opening of my show, so it's definitely the thing that like people remember, you know.
That's so cool. And it really plays with the idea of like failure as success, and like, you know, just going with that. Ah, so
Yeah.
rad. Let's talk about the Chomperbot then. Oh wait. Okay. So in the suitcase, you got 14 servos, as you mentioned in this Penguin lecture intro thing. If you all
Yeah.
want to learn more of Mario's secrets, actually, you can check out this lecture that he did, which I have not watched yet, but I'm kind of on that. I'm gonna do it. And you actually talk about how you built some of these things specifically. There's like a suitcase robot. There's
Yes.
I forget what exactly else, but yeah, you can watch the
I have a
intro.
self-opening suitcase that falls over into a little coffee table that is on there. We won lecture of the year because of this lecture this year. So I'm really proud of this. I really released all my signature robotics on the Penguin lecture. You'll see how I utilize like these common maker projects that you'll see that people have done in the past, and then how I adapted them to some magic with it, you know. And so it's fun. It's a fun little series. Yeah.
And at the same time with Automabot, you've mentioned that you're going to be releasing things open source by the end of the year and stuff as well.
I hope so. I think so. Yeah.
Let's
Which
not
will
put a
be really
timeline
fun.
on it. I know how things go. But like, just like it's this wonderful combination of like education and like obviously you make your living on this, but at the same
Yeah.
time you manage to give lots of information away for free and really help people get into it. And with kids, so good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it's been a wild ride. Like even releasing the Automabot videos, like because that's the one thing I learned because of COVID and this whole like pandemic is this is the first time in my life where I'm letting go of everything, like I was always hoarding my art. Like, and like, it's like, oh, well, I got to wait for the right opportunity or, I need the right contract and it's just such baloney. If there's one regret I had over the years is I should have released it years ago. So, I released the Penguin lecture and it just felt so liberating, and working on Autobot, I don't care. Like I just release it and let it go, so it's just been fun to John Hinton. He's a great magician. I think he fooled Penn and Teller on Penn and Teller Fool Us. He's an amazing Rubik's Cube magician. Yeah, he's a fantastic performer. Great to see him on here too.
Yeah, all your cool magic friends are on here. So cool. Tell us about the Chomper Bot. I keep meaning to ask you. Yeah. So what is powering your fall apart suitcase? I have two questions about it. What microcontroller are you using? Is it a Mega again? And how do you make this stuff fall off? Can you tell us? I don't know. I never know. You're a magician.
So Alex, with building robotics, like power is so critical.
Yeah. Totally.
It's such a finicky thing. And especially if you want it self-contained and you're going to different spaces. So what I've learned, is model airplane batteries like E-Flight 11.1 volt. Yes, I use those and they're just a godsend. I can put one just to power the Arduino, one to power just the servos, the positive and ground on that. And then I have it working. And but yeah, so that's how I do most of that. Yep. Yeah, so the E-Flight lithium batteries, or whatever, 11.1 lithium batteries have been really helpful. Like they're lightweight and they have a good punch.
Yeah. And is that because you can do the barrel jack into the Uno and the Mega? Does that allow you to do that too?
You know what? I don't know if I can with that, but I definitely dice up anything I can. I'm not I didn't go to school to be an engineer or anything. So I'll give you a funny story. We were on tour and I have all my robotics. I performed in Boulder, Colorado at a great theater. And then my card machine broke and I was like, oh my goodness. And I did a speak-in at Spark Fun Electronics at their, at their company. And I did a luncheon and I'm like, guys, I got to leave to go to Oregon for another show. My card machine's broken. Maybe you can help me with this servo. I don't know. There's something
the best place in the world to be for that, honestly.
I mean, it was crazy. So I got these engineers looking in this card machine. And one of them is Pete Lewis, and Pete Lewis is this amazing, he's a brilliant guy. And he's like, Mario, you're powering like 11.1 volts on a single 5-volt servo? Are you out of your mind?
That's what I was wondering. So you just straight up, you put 11.1 volts into the 5-volt servo and it's just fine? Don't try this at home, kids, but it's cool to know that this can work.
No, I definitely bend the rules. Like, so what happened was sometimes I have like 5 or 6 servos that are heavy duty metal geared, and I wouldn't say that they're on 11.1 like all the time.
Right.
But sometimes I will, if they're on only for 3 seconds, I'll do a servo dot detach on Arduino for the whole code. And then the 1 second I need it to have that big punch, I'll just attach it to the pin number and then it'll be on for like 3 seconds with 11.1 volts. And then it'll go, well, I don't know. Is that a bad thing? Yeah, I guess technically it's probably not the safest, but
you're the one on stage, so. You can do whatever you want.
But anyway, Pete Lewis, he helped me fix the card machine and he gave me batteries and it was just a great experience. And now we work together and we have a kit called the Snake Can Kit, which is for magicians only. So it's not very promoted publicly. And it's an electronic snake in a can. So like the gag with the snake and the coming out. It's an electronic one where you can program the timing and it's been a real fun watching magicians use that in their magic shows.
That's cool. I didn't know that you did like direct to magician sales as well. So you have magician kits, you have kids kits. Let's talk about the Chomper Bot. Finally, I know I keep teasing people. Oh yeah, show us the thing.
So, with COVID, it was very scary. I'll never forget March 13th. We got home from a 3-month tour. I mean, I have 2 kids, homeschool. We were on the road. Our last show was in Baltimore. We get home and within a week, everything shuts down. And it's scary when you have a house, you have cars, camper, you know, all our living rides on performance in person. And so I went live on Facebook playing my punk rock music on guitar for kids, you know, and from there, we got a residency with Make Magazine for like 4 months where we went live with them for their maker camp. And it was so magical because people like Make and this other company called Camp, they're a department store all over the country. They picked us up, and that was a big push for us. And from there, working with Make, we wrote a kid's book that I'm super excited about.
Oh yeah,
the Maker Magician's Handbook, and we built a kit called the Chomper Bot. And so basically, all my love for magic. How can I get kids excited about robotics with magic?
Yeah.
So the Chomper Bot comes with an Arduino Uno, and it comes with 2 servos. And what's really fun, and talk about accessibility, is you build the kit with the box that it comes in.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that.
Yeah. So the goal is that, why am I using an Arduino with the kit? Because I want all the extra digital pins. I want kids to buy more micro servos and plug them in and see the code and how can they adapt it and make it bigger, you know? And I've watched people put like wigs on the Chomper Bot that move the hair, you know, like all kinds of fun things. So it comes with cards and gimmicks and all the stuff you need to perform magic and build a robot.
Wait, so does this thing interact? Does Chompy do cards and gimmicks and things, or is it like a
yeah? So Chomper Bot. I won't go through the performance, but basically it's a trick where with 3 cards, and the Chomper Bot will chomp on the cards, and then a magic trick will happen, and it's a cool. Like I said before, I'm taking classics of magic, and then I'm taking the things I love with robotics, and I'm blending them so that you can do them both together in one performance.
I love that. And you can find both of these things on the Make website, but also on your personal website, which is I'm curious about these side bots as well. Are those just images, or are they other bots that you've built? Or
no, they're other ones. I should grab them. I don't know. But they're in my. So I do a trick called the cups and balls, which is a very classic of magic, with 3 cups, 3 balls, and what happens is at the finale, what usually happens is there's fruit like lemon and an apple and an orange, and so for me it was like, how do I adapt this classic with robotics? So at the end, I produced 3 robots, you know, so they're my little signature robots. And I use like, you know, the Adafruit trinkets, and I use their 8x8 matrix, and then I'll add some servos, and they're all, you know, self-powered with like a 9-volt battery, and they're all 3D printed. And what's so cool about 3D printing is that you get this cup, and you can actually 3D print a perfect size robot to fit all the space inside the cup. So when you produce it, you get the most impactful magic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So these are them. These are the ones actually from the show.
I thought they were gonna be huge. That's adorable. Oh no, that's too cute. Wait, do those have electronics inside?
Oh yeah. I mean, the batteries are they're probably dead because I haven't used them since March. But all the electronics are in there, and a lot of these have magnet switches on the bottom, which I shouldn't talk about. But on my mat, I'll have magnets that are marked on my mat. So when I put them on the cup and I lift the cup up, they're already turned on. And then when I take the robot off, it'll turn off. You know,
I can't handle this. These are too adorable. How did you... You have this genius for taking robots and infusing them with personality, like the straw eyebrow with a single servo. You know, all these other... What is your philosophy around that? How do you think about making robots with personality?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, I think for me, like when I do lectures for magicians, or, you know, I always talk about who are you and why are you here, you know? And like these 2 important questions, no matter what I'm doing, whether it's a lecture or performance, when I'm writing a new routine in my show, and when I'm building a new robot too, like who am I as a creator, and why am I creating this, you know? And that helps me a lot, you know, by thinking about those 2 questions as I build, you know? And a lot of the times, you know, like like this guy, you know, he's inspired by like a 50s robot that I saw,
Really?
you know, and I just shrunk him down. And I, you know, this guy's cool. Like his arms will move a little bit, you know, and light up inside. And then sometimes like, you know, like R2-D2 inspired a little bit, you know, kind of like a little droid, you know.
Yeah.
But mostly you'll see what you know, the things that I love, I try to like push them out into my robots. For example, like the Chomperbot. Why does he look like this? The Chomperbot looks like this because I'm obsessed with Ed Roth and Rat Fink and the 50s hot rod culture, you know, like that's why it looks like this. And that's why I'm covered in it, you know, because that's what I try to tell kids, like surround yourself with what you love. Let your set list, like let your set be what you love so that you can stand with confidence when you're performing, when you're speaking, you know? And so that's something that like I really believe in, you know, with no matter what you're creating, whether it's a magic show or a robot, you know, let it reflect what you love it with excitement, you know?
I love that. I love that I asked about robot personalities, and it really comes down to like your own personality and your own loves, and that like yeah.
Well, I see that in your work too, you know. I see that it's a reflection, you know. It really is, you know. Yeah, I love them. Can you take one of them off just so I can see?
Oh, sure. Oh, he's gonna actually catch on the other bug.
All right, then don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Okay. It's all about chaos. So this is
my gosh. Yeah.
And he's soft and fuzzy because a big part of his deal is that he has to sit on my shoulder, and the old one would poke me in the eyes and stuff. So this you know.
I love the evolution. Oh, it's just absolutely awesome. Really, really awesome.
I really wanted to get him working for today, but oh well. Anyway, yeah. Questions. Yeah. What is up next for you? What are you excited for people to stay tuned and like watch for you in the next upcoming months or so?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, you know, I think all performers everywhere, we're in this limbo transition period. As the weather gets nicer, we have to decide whether we're doing in-person shows or we're doing virtual shows. And so it is a little scary, you know, like I'm not gonna lie. I'm so deep in this Zoom world right now where I'm doing multiple shows a week, all on Zoom. And I haven't touched my robotics. Talk about the 14 servos suitcase. I haven't touched that since last year, exactly this time.
Oh, wow,
But I'll tell you this, it's going to change. You know, I'm adding my guitar into my show for sure. When I go live again in theaters, I'm going to change how it works. But what I'm excited about is I have a new project, secret project, you know, where I'm going to be talking about the new builds that have evolved this year. And, I don't know. I'm excited about Automabot. Like I have all these ideas written in my journal of how to make more magic routines with robots, with Automabot, where I'm not in the picture and it's just the robot. And so stay tuned for some of that. And I hope to see you guys in a theater. I heard Broadway's opening in September. I hope all theaters will be at full capacity by September so we can get on the road again.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Speaking of punk rock guitar, you've got that's sort of your big feature on the top of your website here as well. I really hope you're able to get out. Someone asks if you're going to build a robot guitar. Yeah. Let's ask for. Let's get some questions here. Do you have a robot guitar? Probably not yet, but you seem to enjoy playing it yourself. But
oh yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. Maybe I'll have to build a robot guitar. Who knows? I have a robot drum machine that does a drum roll in my show. So it does a little drum roll. And that's on the Penguin Lecture. So yeah.
I have another I actually accidentally transitioned into the ending part, but I still have so many questions for you. What's your favorite automaton? I've been wondering since the start.
My favorite that I built, or like,
no, like so you mentioned
that like in history that
like mechanical Turks and the automatic chess players and writing bots and stuff. Like what's your favorite one?
I mean, for magicians, this will probably be cheesy, but for me, Robert Houdin, you know, is like just such a famous builder and maker in my eyes, and he built. Well, if you guys don't know about Robert Houdin, you guys check out Wikipedia. Robert Houdin, he built a whole show with mechanical props in like the 1800s. Yeah, and like he had a little pastry shop that was this big, and you would like name a pastry that you wanted, and this mechanical pastry shop would open doors and show you the exact pastry you suggested. You know, oh, it's amazing. That's how I got into magic. You know, at 22. Yeah, so like one of his signature effects is called the blooming orange tree, and he has a tree that will literally slowly bloom flowers mechanically, and then the flowers will turn into
Oh.
oranges on set, and he takes one
What?
of the oranges, and I think he cuts it open, and then in there is either like a hidden ring or a handkerchief that was vanished earlier on in the show. So
Oh,
that
wow.
blooming orange tree is definitely something I dream about. Like I want to make one out of cardboard.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, there's so much.
Oh yeah, Robert Houdin. Oh, and also I'm gonna plug
Mm.
one more. Is Del Rey? If you guys look up one magician, look up Del Rey the magician. Huge influence on my life. He was doing robotic stuff in the I don't know if it was the 70s, but yeah, it must have been the 70s or 80s. That was so revolutionary for magic. Oh man, he had this trick with a little house and then he'd have someone pick a card and a little mechanical mouse would come out on a table like chaotically and find like a playing card. Like he had all kinds of crazy stuff. So
Oh,
Del
that's
Rey.
amazing.
Yeah,
I'm trying to
Del
find a good
Rey.
link, but we'll find
Yeah,
a good one and put it
if
in
you
the
see some
description.
videos of Del Rey, you guys should watch it. It's talk about amazing use of technology, for his time.
This is so inspiring. I love you have so much passion for this, and it's so contagious, and it's just all my favorite things all in one place. Thank you
Aw.
so much for joining. And where can people follow you to keep track of what you're up to?
You could follow us on Instagram, Mario the Magician, or on Facebook, Mario the Maker Magician, or my YouTube page stinks right now, but if you want, I'm trying to slowly get up there. But Instagram, Facebook, or just MarioTheMagician.com. Check out our Zoom show. We're doing public shows every Sunday for kids and families. And if not, and one thing I wanted to talk about was my Maker Magician's Handbook
Oh
is
yeah.
is all my best lesson plans for kids that they can build and make their own magic tricks with everyday objects. I'm really proud of this because this is all the years that I taught after school programs at schools for kids, and these were my favorite magic tricks that got the most reward in a half-hour segment. So these
Oh,
are
nice.
picked routines that I'm really proud of. Maker Magician's Handbook. Yep.
Cool. We'll put all these links in the description of the video. Thank you again. Oh, this is a great way to start my Tuesday. It's just you have so much energy
Aw.
and so much life. Thank you so much for coming on, and thank you everyone for joining us. We'll see you soon. Bye.